Hey guys, Emma Romano here again, Timeline Reset. So I'm just going to show you your setup before you actually take your client through the script. This is really important. So what happens is we have these major emotions that happen from an event. It goes in a sequence that is really important. This is very important. Do not think you can get rid of a limiting belief before a negative emotion. Because a limiting belief comes from a negative emotion, which comes from an event first. Does that make sense? So first is an event. Then a negative emotion happens around that event. And then a limiting belief. I'll give you an example. You know, you've got a 2 or 3 year old little girl and you know, she's in cute little knickers and a new dress. You're about to take them all go out for a big family barbecue somewhere. And she's at home. What do 2 or 3 year old little toddler girls do? They pick their dresses up and they go, whee, and they swizz around, right? Yes? Of course they do. And what do? You go, oh my God, I love those little chunky legs, oh my God, you're so cute. Yeah? And she goes, yay, making mommy and daddy happy, whee, and she swizzes, and you're like, oh my God, you're so cute. Then you take your little girl out. And she does the same thing in front of all these people. And then mum and dad say, put your dress down. And she's like, huh? But you love my little chunky legs. And you loved it when I did it before. I'm going to do it again. Whee! Put your dress down, young lady. You're embarrassing me. Don't be naughty. And this little girl goes, this isn't good because mum and dad are my everything. My everything. And what does the unconscious mind do? Keeps you safe. What's that little girl do? Shuts up. All of a sudden, this little girl gets labelled. You know those little kids when you go and meet somebody and they're wrapped around the back of your leg and go, oh, she's just shy. She's just shy. That's how limiting belief happens. Her limiting belief is that she's shy. But first an event happened. And that was, she got told off for being in her free, beautiful state. She had an emotion of shame. And then limiting belief around, I'm shy. Because that keeps you safe. This is what we have to undo in people. It can be that simple. Now you will get clients who sit there and say, I know a major thing happened to me and I need to figure out what that is. No, you don't, because it can be as small as that. It can be as small as that. It's just done every time. You get a lot of people who have limiting beliefs around, nobody listens to me. And I say to them, between 0 and 7, what happened? And quite often is, oh, my brother was born or my sister was born just after me. Ah, interesting. So it could be the fact of, as a child, I'm telling you now, between ages 2 and 16, a child is very ego-based. The universe revolves around them. So if your parents are in a bad mood, it's the child's fault. If they're in a good mood, it's the child's fault. They'll take all the responsibility, all the blame for it. So what happens is you're looking at mummy, mummy's got a baby, mummy needs to go to the toilet, and you got a 3 or a 4 year old going, mummy, look at this picture. She goes, darling, just a minute. Mummy just has to go to the toilet. And I just had to put Tom down. Oh, mummy hasn't got time for me. Mummy, darling, just 2 seconds, let me burp Tommy. And I've just got to put, I'll be with you in a minute. Just wait. Do you get where I'm coming from? It doesn't have to be a major event. It can be just a series of these little events that's just called life. And the disappointment that's come in from you, and then a limiting belief happens. So that's why we must stop the negative emotions first. Don't go to a limiting belief because you still have this emotion here. So the first thing we do is this. Guys, the very first emotion we get rid of is anger, and I tell you why. Anger is like the lid on a boiling pot. Because your clients are a boiling pot with too much water in it and things are spitting out. That's what my multiple sclerosis was. It was just spitting out. Anger can get you out of bed in the morning. You can still function on anger, right? When you cross out anger, you then feel sadness. You take out the sadness, the fear will come up. You take out the fear, the hurt comes up. Take out the hurt, the guilt comes up. Take out the hurt, guilt, the shame comes up. Take out the shame, you're a brand new person. Can you imagine your life right this second without all this. Now, you will feel anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, and shame. Of course you will, but it'll be fresh. It won't be from your past events. You won't be triggered from something. I'll give an example of this. So I used to be this kind of mom. So I had two massive, I was very angry. I felt anger and shame, 10 out of 10 problem for me. Because these were too hard for me to feel. I would suppress with alcohol, I would suppress with being busy. These two, all day, every day. And the boys would come home and I had two massive limiting beliefs. I'm dumb and I had a massive fear of judgment. Everybody judged me for the worse, not for the good. They weren't looking at me going, oh, Emma, you got pretty hair. They were like, Emma, your hair? That was my 264 bits. Does that make sense? So what happened was, the kids would come home from school, I'd be making dinner, they'd go, Mummy, what's for dinner? And I'd go, food, all right? And then I would move straight to, oh, Mummy, so sorry, I'm so sorry. So the anger came up because my first thing was, do you think I'm dumb enough that I can't make you a meal? Or are you judging me that I'm not a good enough mother to make you a meal? Does that make sense to you? Anger. These are too hard, we'll hide them. We'll come straight to shame. Straight to shame. So for me to cope in a night and not be angry with my family, not their fault, or mine, or my responsibility, I didn't know that, I was in victim, I would drink. And then all I would do is feel shame. Because at least if I took that out, numbed it with alcohol, the shame was okay because I was still nice on shame. Yeah? Guys, I've been through all of this. There's a very big difference between me training and other trainers, and that is, one, I have a massive client base, and two, I've been through all this shit. I've lived it, I've done it. You know, I've been there. There is nothing you have done or you can say that's going to shock me. Trust me on that. I've seen it all, done it all. So what our job is, you'll say to your clients, you know what? Instead of being triggered by past anger from something you can't even remember consciously, we're going to get rid of that. But if you came to my house now and you came and you kicked my dog, believe me, I'm going to rip your head off. Right? I'm going to get angry. But that's fresh anger. It's like, you know, you can be in the car and you're driving, and next thing somebody tries to cut you off, and you go, oh! I don't do that anymore. Now I go my 264 bits and I'm not being triggered by anger or anything like that anymore. It's like, I hope this person's all right. I hope they're not having to rush to the hospital or rush home for something bad. Like, I hope they're okay. It's very different. Very different from my stuff. So what we're going to do first, we're going to release anger, then we'll release sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, and shame. The last two ones, this is only if they come to you and say, I have anxiety or I have depression. Never tell your client, okay, we're going to do anxiety, depression now, and they're like, well, do I have that? All right, only if they mention it. But this will go, anxiety is caught up with fear. Anxiety is just fear of the unknown. And then depression is caught up with that, and that, and that, and that, okay? Depression is your sadness, is your hurt, guilt, and shame. All right, so when we collapse these, they're all gone. They're gone anyway. What timeline reset is, actually I'm going to tell you how I developed timeline reset, because you're probably going, well, how did she do all this? Timeline therapy actually works as an NLP protocol, and I don't love it. It's very hard for people who can't visualize. It's very hard for people who have PTSD. I find it a confusing modality, and I don't believe you need to go back to an event. Actually, I think it's dangerous to go back to an event. We already know what the event is, and our unconscious mind can keep us very safe by keeping that event hidden. We don't need to go back to an event to collapse these. Because if you start to remember something that you're not supposed to remember, you can't unsee that. You can't unsee it. Does that make sense? That's why this works so beautifully. We're not traumatizing somebody who's already traumatized. So by releasing this, you're a clean slate. You're an absolute clean slate. And it's amazing. You can think of the most fearful time that you've ever been through in your life, the saddest time you've ever been through your life. And you can feel those feelings and it's really horrific. By doing timeline reset and releasing that, you can go back and see how it happened for you instead of happening to you. I'll give you an example, MS. That happened to me. Woe be me. Oh no, I'm just gonna lay in bed. I can't mum, I can't wife, I can't do this. It is one of the greatest gifts that God gave me. Whether you call it God, universal law, call it higher self, whatever you call it, it is one of the greatest gifts, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you right now. See how it happened for me instead of to me. My father-in-law passed away, and he is the most beautiful man, and he was more of a father for me in those short years than my own father. And do you know what? His death, it never happened to me. I stopped and I looked and I went, my God, what a gift. What a gift of a man. And I get emotional talking about him. And he was the most beautiful grandfather to my boys. What a gift. And he's left such a legacy behind. He has 4 amazing sons who have children, and he lives on through those kids. It happened for us, not to us. We're not victim to it. We take in responsibility. Can't stop the event. I can't stop that my father-in-law passed away. But I can definitely take responsibility of how I do life from now on. Hope that makes sense to you. Again, any questions? Put it in the group. Right? Playful. The more you playful out, the more you'll get out of this, I promise you. So what we're going to do is we're going to collapse these. The very first thing we do with our client, we pre-frame them. We pre-frame everybody. So what I'm going to do is, first off, with all of these, I'm going to say to them, how big a problem? So how big a problem is anger? 10 being a big problem, 0 being no problem at all. It's usually 9 or 10. You'll get clients who'll sit there and go, oh, it's not a problem, I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. You'll get some people who'll go, oh, 0, 2, 2, then why are you here? And then I ask them this, you better write this down. Are you too scared to really uncover what you gotta uncover? And they go, yes. I go, right, so how big a problem is fear for you? And they go, okay, it's 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, good. So you want high numbers here. You'll get them. It's very rarely you get a client that says that, but all troubleshooting, do questions, one-on-one sessions, group sessions we'll do, we'll answer all your questions regarding that. Guys, I've seen like 1,000 clients. I've got so many answers, okay? And between a collective of us all, we've got the answers. Anger, 10. Then you're gonna ask them, how big a problem is sadness for you? 10 being a big problem, 0 being no problem at all. And you'll get the number. And you just keep going. Right, we won't do anxiety, depression. So say anger's 9, sadness 8, fear is 10, hurt 10, guilt 9, shame 8. And then I say to them, anger 9 out of 10. Where would you like it to be at the end of this session? And they might go 2. Great, 9 to 2, that's fantastic. Is that realistic for you? Do you really think that's realistic? You can go from a 9 to 2, all that anger, your whole entire life, you can get it down to a 2, and they'll go, yeah? That's not congruent. So, come on, give me a number. And then I go, maybe 4. Great, let's get it to 4. All right, and then we keep going down. Write this down. At the very end, we'll say, now I know you want this 4 out of 10. I know you said 3 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 0 out of 10, 0 out of 10, whatever it might be. I just say, do I have your permission to actually get this down to a 0? Do I have your permission to get this down to a 0? Do I have your permission to get this down to a 0? I mean, if we get to a 4, 3, 6, 2, that's great, but do I have your permission to keep going further? What are they going to say? Of course. And then I say to them, could you imagine a life? Who are you going to be without this? Who are you? 99.9% of my clients, they just look and they'll look around and they go, me. And it is the most beautiful moment. They're already healing. They're already starting to release it. It's absolutely beautiful.